Coming because I had written down something else that I wanted to another point I think I wanted to bring out. Um, because I know that there are some people who are truly like, when they got into the relationship that they did get into, they were really operating their best in righteousness, right? But it still didn't work. And something that I believe became apparent to me because of my own situation and everything. And to me, my intentions were righteous, but even sometimes even sometimes our righteousness can still be a burden to somebody. And I know you might be like, what? Huh? How is that really possible? But it is true. You could have done everything properly. You could have been as forthcoming with information as you could have been. And you could have requested and required and asked of your potential spouse that he or she, for that matter, operate in righteousness. But if the person is not for you, and or if the person is not yet there, if they're not at that level yet, if they're not, or if their righteousness does not match your righteousness, what you are asking for then becomes a burden to them. It becomes a burden for them. And this is why they run away, or this is the reason that they step back. Because what you're asking for of them, either they are not ready to give, or they don't desire to give it, or they don't, it's not in them to give it to you. So then we can become a burden because we're requiring of someone who's more than likely not for us something that they can't give it. It's not in them to give to you. And you asking for it nicely, or even eventually being upset and, demanding it, won't yield you the results that you were looking for. So, and for me, I don't even, like, I've had some time to reflect about my situation. And to be quite honest, like, there are some things that I really should have done differently. I should have done different. I don't even know where to begin. There are some things that I totally should have done differently. But now, in retrospect, I feel like it's a lesson. I feel like this particular thing was a lesson. And I'm glad, because in my opinion, even while I was going through it and it was tough and, or whatever, I did pray to the Most High. And I asked him, I was like, okay, Lord, if this was me, if I messed up, if I made a hasty move, then, take this away, make something happen. I didn't want anything negative to happen, although I would have preferred something amicable, like an amicable and peaceable split. But nevertheless, what happened did happen. Then the other prayer that I also prayed during this situation was, okay, Most High, if it's just me, right? If this is a relationship that you desire to have, me to have, and you can flourish it, and it's just me, then show me my ugly self. Show me myself. Right? And you know what? It seems like he kind of did both of them. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like he did both of them. Not only did we split, but in the process, or in this time now during the split, I I see like, oh my gosh, Juday, you could have just been quiet at this moment, or you could have just went ahead and did this at this moment without being asked, or you could have gone ahead and been of assistance, and instead of being angry and upset because you didn't get your way about this, you should have just helped out anyway, in any way that you could. You should have just did some of the things that he asked you to do without necessarily questioning or trying to, impose on him a way that you thought was better or whatever. Like, a lot of things just did not have to be done. But I'm seeing that now, and even if the situation really just was not appropriate, I still got answers to my prayers, and now I'm getting to see myself, and I'm getting to see how, look, girl, listen, baby, look, Juday, you got to get it together yourself. I noticed that I am a person who is reflective. I'm reflective, like, really a lot. I think entirely, sometimes too much, even about myself, and I go over the things that I could have done better really quite often. But in this particular situation, when I'm in retrospect, I realize that, like I said in a previous video, we never discussed really the expectations that the other person would have possibly had for their spouse. That's something that I think should have definitely been discussed, but it wasn't. And so I'm here with my expectations, and I'm being vocal about what I expected. But the man who at the time I was calling my husband, he wasn't saying anything. Or excuse me, let me not say that. That is so wrong. He was saying things, but the things that he was saying, I did not fully grasp yet. I didn't fully grasp, and I honestly felt like, look, what you're asking me could actually be accomplished if you would do what I'm asking you to do. I mean, it can actually really be accomplished. So we both had these very strong, very, very, very strong convictions about how it was supposed to work out. And it just seemed like neither one of us, really backed down off of those things. Now, in my opinion, I did compromise a little bit, but it wasn't really much. It's like, it's like I did it because I did care about the guy, but it was also to prove, like, look, okay, I did this. Now, at some point in time, I'm hoping that you're gonna do what I need you to do too. And that did not happen. So all the things that I was asking of the guy, they were righteous, but they were a burden for him because it wasn't at the time in his plan. And to be quite honest, wives, we're not really supposed to have, in my opinion, our own plans. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Yes, you can have things for yourself to do, but when you're coming into a relationship with your spouse and with your husband, it's kind of like you got to figure out, okay, so what are you doing and how can I help you with what you're doing? And I kind of felt like, but in retrospect, when I'm looking at what I did, I came in because I already saw what I felt like were some issues, at least for me as a person who would have been the wife. I had issues with already. And so I came in kind of wanting to address those and try to work those out first. And instead it blew up. It blew up in my face and it blew back. And I was like a nag to this man about something that he just was not willing to do. So my quote unquote being righteous and trying to operate in righteousness was a burden to him as opposed to something that he would have jovially wanted to do. So with that being said, I now know, if if the Most High doesn't reconcile that or work that out, because like if it's not meant, it won't happen. And if it does not happen, I now know the things that Miss Ivy will not do if there's a next time. Just put it like that. If there's a next time, I'm very aware of how I went wrong in this particular situation. And so I'm grateful for that, because that means the Most High answered my prayers when I asked him, Lord, if it's me, show me my ugliness and show me my ugly self. And yeah, and it wasn't so pretty. It really wasn't pretty. In fact, it made me cry a lot. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, I was sitting up here talking about what I wanted him to do for me, and now I realize that while what I said was true and it was scripture based and everything, I didn't do for him something that was extremely important to him. I kept giving him a hard time. So now I just I'm like, there are so many things I've learned from this already that I'm taking away from this experience. So I'm really, really grateful now. The first couple of weeks and month or whatever, I was an emotional wreck. I was all over the place mentally, up and down every day. Oh my gosh. I was, even in my prayers, it was crazy. It was crazy. But now I so thank the Most High. It's like, it was only pretty much maybe a night or two ago that I had the last crazy cry. And then it seems like a peace came over me, like nobody's business. And it's like the Most High has just been showing me revelation after revelation, revelation after revelation. For me, of course, but I know that if there's anybody else in a situation similar to what I've been dealing with, that it could possibly help you out too. You know, so that's why I'm sharing these videos. But anyway, it's getting long, so I'm going to shut up now. But yeah, the whole basis of this video is that you could very well have been operating in righteousness, but your righteousness can be a burden to someone if it's not for them, or if y'all aren't on the same page, it can become a burden. So with that being said, I guess I just want to hear what you guys have to say about it. If you want to, you can leave a comment below. And yeah, I hope the message was kind of clear. I don't know. Y'all tell me.